Word on the street. FisMaz show. What's the word on the street? Like, who got the beats that be killing the game? Who's up on the scale? Who playing who? What's the score on the sheet? Fiso the Prince got him taking the seat. Got the legends giving us the 411. FisMaz from the 031. No hated sports and entertainment when we got it all and we the only ones. And after all that action, ever how we dripping high fashion. Drippy on some rich municipal stylists and soak up with passion. If it's giving us less, then we never settle. Make sure you pull up and bring all your medals. Sit back and relax, let's go. It's FisMaz bringing you the FisMaz show. It's the FisMaz show. It's the FisMaz show. It's the FisMaz show. It's the FisMaz show.
Yeah, what's up? This is DJ Speedster, otherwise known as Speedster Bro. You are now tuned in to the FisMaz show with FisMaz. Dango!
Hello everyone, welcome to the FisMaz show. Hey, what is Yakal? Ziaduma, Ziamporoma, whatever word you choose to use, because hey, Bafana Bafana Matota, Wafit. Hey, you know what? I don't know anymore. Like a lot of people, I saw the reactions yesterday. I mean, we conceded a last-minute equalizer in the African qualifiers. And I mean, geez, what a goal. I mean, what a strike. But I mean, it should have been dead and buried. I mean, we were flying at the halfway stage. Kangwana, you know, if he scores that 3-0 just before halftime, game over, you know. You know, I cast my mind back to, and I hate doing this because, I mean, it's like you're stuck in the past, but you cast your mind back to 96. You look at the quality of players we had, you know, and we've just progressively got worse and worse and worse. Our league, you know, many people have question marks with regards to, you know, just it's been dubbed as the best league in the continent, but how many players are we producing that can deliver on the international stage? You know, those are tough questions that we'll have to ask ourselves. So yeah, I thought, you know, I saw some reactions on social media with regards to how the game went. I saw Tikak Mabalani, you know, he's I guess a lot of times, you know, people are putting the blame on the administrators in terms of where our football has gone. And some will argue that, you know, players need to do better. You know, Hugo Bruce, we saw the mess yesterday. So I thought, you know what, another person who obviously had a lot to say on social media was DJ Naves, a good friend of the show, a good friend of mine. So I said, let's go find him, let's go chat with him. So let me admit him in now. And hopefully Naves can just share his thoughts with regards to what he thinks about Bafana Bafana. But Liberia at home, you're still expecting, that we should take care of business in that particular game. So disappointing that. I mean, we went away to Morocco. It wasn't the worst showing. You know, the good thing is that Lau Foster seems to be someone who potentially could be a regular, you know, goal getter for us. But we've got to as a team to do better. Some people question the fact that Motobi Mvala, makeshift centre back, is playing and starting for Bafana Bafana. You know, he plays the role at Sundowns. He's been playing the role at Sundowns. But for whatever reason, you know, things are not as smooth as they would like. So, yeah, let's see what DJ Naves does have to say with regards to that, because a lot of people are really disappointed with regards to Bafana Bafana. Abantu bayakhala nje, bathi abadlali abayibiseli. Nangu Naves ugqoke ijezi lakhe le-Sundowns lana. We're trying to fix a national problem here. He's wearing the national problem. But Naves will argue that, you know, his team, Mamelodi Sundowns, people have even said that, why doesn't Sundowns just represent us? That's the headaches we currently have with the national team. There he is, the man, the myth, the legend, DJ Naves.
Good morning. Good, thanks yourself.
Hey, hey,
Gooby. Under the circumstances.
Gooby, and I know for you are as passionate about our national team as you are about Sundowns. Okay, maybe a bit more of Sundowns, but I know you're a mad Bafana Bafana fan as well as am I. Disappointing, man. You know, Liberia at home. Man,
you know what, Fiso? What hurts the most is that it easily in the first half was supposed to be 5-0 up. After that, there's absolutely zero intensity. Nobody's fighting for the badge. Nobody's fighting for Bafana. Nobody's fighting for the country. Zero intensity in the second half. Then we let in 2 goals because of lack of intensity. We lose the ball. People are dragging their feet to get back. There's no pride. They're not proud to play for our national team.
And and in the clue is that, we have so many people in this country that are so passionate about the game, and it almost feels like every year we just lose more and more people who care about Bafana Bafana. There's times where, I'll mention to a friend, Bafana's playing at this time. They're like, oh, Glenn is quiet. Whereas, when we were growing up, Maktua Glenn is quiet. Everyone sees prior piece, game is entirely corner. Like, there was that sense of excitement, and it just seems like it is non-existent at the moment. You can go play at the smallest venue and they won't fill it. You know what I mean?
It's gone, bro. I was saying to someone, maybe what we need to then try is say, if we take these games outside of Johannesburg, how do they look? Does it make sense? But things are bad, so it's bad. It's really, really bad, man. It's bad. I can't believe what happened last night.
And I mean,
I'm more disappointed in myself.
Why?
Because I raised expectations. Because I expected so much from them. That's the problem. And that right now.
The one thing I want to ask you, and I know that I saw your interaction with Dikgang on social media yesterday. Obviously, a lot of times there's 2 sides of this. People want to say, look, administrators, they are the reason why we're here. Some people are saying players need to put up their socks. Players need to take responsibility. The coach can't score for himself. Where are you? Yeah. Which camp are you in?
I'm in the camp that football has evolved. The administrators need to come to the party. There is no point in hiring people inside football who have not in the era of technocrats that we're into the era of modern football, which is today. I'm in that the coach was not to blame yesterday. The players need to shoulder the blame. When it was easier to pass to a teammate and score, they didn't do it. When it was easier to score, they missed. And Dikgang and others, and okay, maybe not, let me not say Dikgang. Professional players will say to you, yeah, it looks easy on TV. Emina, you are paid to do this thing. It's your job. You must be good at it. You're paid. You're paid money. Every month you're paid like this. So
no. And look, it's a natural thing for players or ex-players to jump to the defense of current players, But like you're saying, there's an expectation. If you are in business and you're not hitting your performance levels, you're out. So there's always that sense of expectation. And I mean, and with all due respect, some of the teams we don't get results against. I mean, come on, man. I mean, I remember a few years back when we didn't get the job done in qualification and we were playing Ethiopia. Ethiopia. I mean,
no disrespect to the Ethiopians, no disrespect to anyone.
To Liberia, all these things. I mean, I've seen us strong against Botswana, and I'm like, and it's not an arrogance of we are South African and we won AFCON 90s. No, that's not. It's just we got better players. We got better systems. Why?
I don't even want to hear that story about 96. I really don't want to hear that story. I was telling one of the guys that played in 96 that I'm happy for you guys and that you won. All right? That was then. This is now. This is what we are facing with. And also, the defenders were pop in your time. Now, serious defenders. You have proper defenders. So, leave us alone with that 96 story. We are here now. We're in 2023. And we need to fix this thing. Them telling us about 96 is not going to help us with anything.
Maybe it's just you reminiscing about the good old days.
No, leave it. It's like those other people from Freedom Park FC reminiscing about trophies they won in 1990. We were the Rothmans Cup specialists. It's over. Deal with your reality now.
I just want to be clear because there's some listeners or viewers that may not know what you're talking. Who is Rothman's Cup FC?
Hey, Freedom Park FC, Baba.
Who's Freedom Park FC?
You know.
Say the name, Baba.
No, they want to sue me.
Blocked me. Are they clever as or what?
Yeah, those ones. Those ones are a bunch of plumbers, those ones. They're plumbering down there.
Yeah, look.
Lots of plumbering.
Yeah, some of their fans are saying, yeah, you didn't want to pick up players. That's why you're not doing well.
Good. It would have been worse. It would have been worse.
Yeah, no, guys. And that's the thing. You looked at the team that he put out, and you thought it was a positive team. That you looked like it was a team that was set out to play on the front foot. It didn't look like Coach Hugo Bruce said, "I'm full shower. I don't want to lose." And geez, like you're saying, I mean, 5-0, it wouldn't have been a lot to ask for at halftime, eh?
No. When it was easier to score, we didn't. Like, guys, these are guys that have played the game at the highest level. The ref signaled indirect free kick. That was the signal. Like, what? Okay, what else do they want from us? Please tell us. What else do they want? No, these guys are criminal. In fact, I know countries where when things like this happen, people don't like it. It's bad. It's criminal what happened.
But now, what's your take on Hugo Bruce being so angry that he didn't even want to take questions at the press conference?
I get it. I don't like the man personally. It wouldn't be my candidate for choice. Wouldn't be my candidate for coach under any circumstance. But I get why he was angry.
And the journalists, they refused to talk to Coach Hellman, and I think it wasn't a sign of disrespect to the assistant coach.
Never.
It was more just a case of like, we need the coach to come and answer, because how the hell do we go against Liberia with a coach who was coaching under 17s? I mean, like, which players do Liberia have? George Wilson plays for USA,
It's Joe. I don't have the words, man. Like, the coach had every right, to be angry. The journalists had every right not to want to speak to Coach Hellman, and they told him. They said, "No disrespect to you, but the rules are clear on this thing. He must come and face us because every month and this is part of the job. He must come and face us, and I stand by them. I 100% agree with the journalists."
I thought I saw you in there saying, "Yeah, we want a coach." Was it not you inciting that?
No. I'm out of that political sphere.
Look, I know you got a busy day. I want to let you go. I just want to get a quick reaction from you as the number one representative of football fans across the country, because I know how you were seething. And yeah, it's just not good enough, unfortunately. We can dress it up, we can cut it, slice it, dress it however we like. The thing is, we can't draw against Liberia at home. It cannot happen.
And exactly what I was saying to Dihang, the quicker we accept that, because he's saying we've put ourselves on a pedestal that's too high. No, we haven't. We watch Mamelodi Sundowns week in, week out. They're outplaying Al Ahly. Al Ahly predominantly makes up the Egyptian squad. We're watching Pesitao playing in that team. We're watching players playing abroad and making noise there. Then we want to come here and accept the mediocrity. It's not going to happen. We're not going to allow that.
And I mean, you mentioning that, I bet you if we played against Egypt, they'll probably kill us. And we were watching Al Ahly, getting destroyed by Masatawan.
Tapas. They're going to take us to the cleaners because they play for the badge. They fight for the badge, bro.
Yeah, I know. Naves, I'm gonna let you go. Enjoy your Saturday. I know you got a busy day. Yeah, I've got Menzi who's coming on after you. And
Freedom Park FC.
All right. No, I'll definitely do that. Naves, enjoy your day. And yeah,
Thank you.
We continue to dissect this Bafana Bafana dilemma because I mean, I understand. Ooh. No, cheers, brother. Yeah, DJ Naves there. I mean, we speak as passionate football people, and I mean, he makes a point there. You know, Tekang Mabalani, who would have been great to have him on as well. But we look at our national team, and are we still harboring that the past too much? Are we on a high horse with regards to our football? Are we arrogant as a football nation? Are we good enough as a football nation? Those are all questions that I guess that are out there, but I'm sure everyone's got their take with regards to Bafana Bafana and where we should be. And it'll be really interesting if we could, get comments from you guys with regards to that. I'd love to hear from you guys as fans in the comments below, just to find out, do you think that what we did out there is good enough? I think a lot of people will say no. A lot of people will look at it holistically and say, Yazin, we can do a lot better from an administrative point of view, from a player point of view, from a coach point of view. But yeah, if you missed that particular a situation with Coach Hillman Kelele and Coach Hugo Bruce, yeah, let's go check it out, and then we'll pick up after that with Menzi Ngcobo.
Then somebody from the FA must come and address us why the coach brought here.
So I'm going to remove Coach Helmet.
Hold
on.
If he's not here, can you tell us why
he's not here?
Okay, so you don't want
the coach must come here.
Okay, hold on, guys.
No.
Coach Helmet has come to do the interview, to which you guys are saying no, right?
Yes.
So I'm going to let Coach Helmet go back to the dressing room.
Yeah.
Okay? And if you have no one here, are you satisfied with that?
Yes.
Okay.
What
do the rules say?
Yeah.
The rule says you have to have an interview. You have to have a press conference.
The head coach was not sent
The head
over.
coach is not coming.
The
The assistant coach is here.
head coach was not saying he needs to come here.
Can you tell us
The
why
head
Why
coach
is he
has
not here?
sent
Okay,
the
Why is
assistant
he
coach.
not here?
Is there a valid reason?
Coach
What is the
Helman can
reason?
answer that if it is that we get the
No.
conference started.
No.
All right, then we're leaving. Coach, let's go.
Must tell that guy must take us to
First of all, you have to apologize me today because I will not give much comment on this game. I will not answer your questions. There is too much disappointment, too much frustrations, too much anger in my body, that if I should say now what I think, that would not be nice. I'm always been ready in the past, to answer your questions, even difficult questions. But I hope that you understand that today it's for me very difficult to do that. So again, sorry for that, but I hope when you saw the game and when you saw what happened on the pitch today, that you can understand my reaction today also. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Coach. Short and sweet, guys. That's all we're doing today, okay?
Yeah, so man, the drama, I don't know what was going on there, but I spoke to a few members of the media, and basically their take was that it wasn't necessarily directed towards Helman Mkelele himself. It was more a case of, we want the coach to come and essentially face us, and a lot of people will say, what's wrong? Let me rather say it this way. A lot of people asked, what's wrong with Helman Mkelele going to the presser? And look, there's nothing wrong with it, but the rule states that the coach has to be the one that comes out there and does it, unless there's a medical reason why he cannot, or maybe he's been sent off, or whatever the rules may be. So yeah, I understand, and it's not because I'm a member of the media. It's just if South Africa wins AFCON, they're not going to put Helman Mkhelele there. So the coach needs to go face the media when things aren't going well as well, despite him being as angry as potentially he does say. So yeah, I just want to bring in Menzi Ngcobo now because from Menzi's been a member of the media. He's worked as a media officer as well. So you've been on both sides of the coin. Romy Titus there with a bit of a difficult job there, Menzi. But what's your take on that? And for me, I understand. I'm also a person who's got a short temper, a short fuse. I get it when you're really angry, but at some point you have to still do your job.
First of all, shout out to Romy Titus for handling that situation. I mean, the entire situation was a curveball. I would imagine probably 10 minutes before the end of the game, the last thing on Romy Titus's mind was, I'm going to have to weather some storm at the end of the match. I'm sure they were just preparing for a normal press conference. South Africa has just won 2-1, and they just need to do it again in Liberia for the second leg of the match. And that last 5-6 minutes of the match sort of threw everything on its head. And I think Romy did quite well to try and sort of fend off that situation. In terms of Hugo not wanting to come out and speak to the media, I'm sorry, it's inexcusable. From the media perspective, I think one of the primary objectives of the media, or the primary functions of the media, is to be the watchdog of the public, to be the voice of the voiceless, and to speak truth to power when it comes to us as the consuming public. The media was right to demand Hugo to come out and speak. Hugo had no right to allow his anger or his disappointment at the performance to stop him from coming out and speaking in front of the media. Because, like you said, had it been South Africa winning the AFCON, Helman Mkhelele would have been nowhere near the presser on that day. So it's inexcusable. He should have stood up there and faced up to the music and did his best to try and answer the questions. And then behind closed doors, he could throw his toys around. Not the way he did it. I'm sorry. It's inexcusable.
Yeah, and I mean, for anyone who's essentially curious with regards to what the exact rules are, I did manage to text Tabang Mazibu from CAF to find out what is the exact rule with regards to that. And he's very clear. He basically says that the CAF rules say it must be the head coach unless there's a valid medical reason that he can't attend. Only then can he send the assistant. Also, that medical reason needs to be verified by a CAF medical official. So it can't just be that I don't feel like it today, I'm angry. At the end of the day, you can't just be there for the good times. You got to be there for the bad times. You can understand why he's angry. You can understand why he's disappointed. I think a lot of people, with that second goal, and by the way, what a strike. When that second goal went in, it was a dagger to the heart of South African fans. And once again, we find ourselves in a position where we now need favors. It's not in our own control. Like, why do we keep doing this to ourselves, man?
All in all, I know you've cast the net quite wide, but if I could just choose one component to pick up on, it was a very timid performance from the team. I mean, there was no cohesion, and you're not expecting a national team performance to be completely seamless, but you're expecting. Firstly, you're expecting a national team to be able to get over the line, especially when you're playing against a weaker opposition. For me, the biggest disappointment for me, and you're probably going to still ask other questions, but the biggest disappointment for me was, how can a national team have a makeshift centre-back when you have an entire country's worth of players to choose from? Mothobi Mvala doesn't play as a centre-back for Sundowns, but in the national team, he's playing as a centre-back. And I know he's got utility attributes, but
look,
when it comes to
just to highlight there, I know they've been playing him in that position for a few of the last few games. So maybe the coach has seen something there with regard. And I'm not coming down on your point. I want to be clear about that. But I just want to point out that I have seen him, in the Sundowns lineup playing in that position the last few games. But like you're saying, you still probably feel he's a makeshift, or you got to play almost a certain way to be able to. I mean, Javier Mascherano at Barcelona he plays as a centre back, but where he made his name was as a defensive midfield player. So I just wanted to point that out before you do continue. And to be clear, we still probably do see him as a makeshift centre back, because anyone can play a position for a few games, but people who have been playing a position their whole professional careers, that's a proper centre back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and here's the thing I want to also make clear on that note is that, fine, football, and by a large degree, is a game of opinions, and some opinions are magnified or amplified by certain types of performances. If you pick that type of team and you win 5-0, maybe the narrative will be different. Maybe people would be saying, Liberia's ranked 150 something in the world, and we were supposed to win the game anyway, and. But if you don't win the game, then it brings a whole catalog of opinions, like the one I'm using now, because I'm analyzing his performance and I'm saying, fine, you may have used him once or twice, 3 times in that centre-back position, but who were we playing and how did he perform in those matches? Do we not pick a squad on form? Do we not pick a squad on certain types of criteria? Because I saw how he was coming into tackles, especially when Liberia was playing the ball up front. He was going in like a central midfielder. He wasn't going in like a centre-back. He was going in too tight and he was being turned. He got turned about 2-3 times. And I already saw, and at the time it was still 2-0 up. But I was looking at that, I'm thinking, that's how a central midfielder goes in. That's how someone who knows there's someone else behind me goes in. Not the last guy. Not the guy when you get turned, there's no one else behind you. And that's why I pointed that out.
Yeah, and I mean that's a great point, Menzi, and because it's hard to change instinct in a few months. You know, let's say Coach Rulani has decided to convert him into a centre back. But the instinct of a midfielder is going to be there, and like you're saying, you know, you're not going to switch that off. And it's a great piece of analysis from you just to pick that sort of thing up. Yeah,
and I mean, I was watching the game alone, so I couldn't speak to anyone about it, but I was looking at that. The other point I picked up was Aubrey Modiba, who plays left back for Sundowns and who was playing left back for the national team. If you look at the Sundowns' performance over the past couple of months, particularly in the CAF Champions League. And again, I have no beef against any player. I deal with players on a daily basis. I have the utmost respect for all professional players. This is by no means an attempt to try and bash the player's character. But he's been, in my opinion, the weakest link in that Sundowns team. The majority of the errors that were happening in that Sundowns team, the pressing traps were being directed to him because for some reason, he doesn't have a good 360 view. He doesn't scan well when the ball is being played out. Secondly, he naturally plays like a left wing. So he naturally does not have natural defensive instinct. So that's why he's always caught on the wrong side of the ball or caught on the wrong side of the press or caught on the wrong side of a build-up from the back. And I felt, as a national team, you have months to watch all of the players that South Africa has at its disposal across all the leagues in the world. Surely, for someone who's constantly on TV, constantly play, and he's been seen at matches where Sundowns has been playing, surely he could have picked that up and said, if we are going for a centre-back, fine, we want to pick the best Sundowns players because they're currently the best team in the country and probably on the continent, one might argue. Is he the type of player I want to go into a must-win crunch at left-back? I wouldn't have picked him at left-back. Another point, Morena at Sundowns is not the starting right-back. He has played right-back before. He was converted from a right winger into a right-back. But more recently, he's playing as a right winger. Or if it comes on as an impact. And the way Sundowns plays, the fullbacks are part of the attacking system. So they turn into a 3-5-2. So he automatically receives the ball in a forward-fronting facing position. So he never has to really defend. So he's not used to those delayed runs and delayed overlaps like a natural right back would be. And again, we can all speak about why the right centre back right back was not picked for that Bafana setup. And it showed because he's not used to playing that position. He wasn't timing his runs correctly. The combinations weren't there. And the balance of the team for me wasn't right.
Yeah, I mean, Jesus, there's so many great points you've made there. And again, you know, we always sit here scratching our heads with regards to some selection, especially when you look at a system that the coach looks to play. If you're looking to play with almost that flat 4, you know, when you go in with 2 essentially wing backs slash players who are naturally wingers, you are asking for trouble. You almost maybe want to go for something that's and again, you know, it's sometimes there may be a temptation to go with a more defense-minded fullback on the one side. At least then you've always got kind of that those 3 players that are quite solid from a defensive point of view. And then you say, okay, fine, Morena, you can have the freedom of the wing. You know, if you go, we're able to tuck in and go into a 3 and almost still cover you. I know Innocent Maela was there as part of the squad. He could have been an option at left back. Just to say, okay, yes, he plays more on the left of a back three these days, and he plays more in the center of the park, but he's played as a left back, someone who would have just been, if you wanted to shift to a three, it's quite easy to do that when Morena is gone. And vice versa, if you want to put someone on the right-hand side of a similar nature. But, overall, I think, there's just a lot of disappointment, and I mentioned something to Naves a bit earlier, and he was basically speaking about how, I basically said to him how, like, when we were growing up, when you heard that, I remember they used to call it Iskwati, when Iskwati was playing, you was happy. We were watching the game, if it's town, we're down at the ground. You never ever, and I mean never ever, like this game, I didn't have one person mentioning this game during the week. No one. No one that I personally know. And there's those few fans there, but man, we've gone so backwards, and yeah, you're high.
No, we have, and I think some certain conversations need to be had. Certain people need to take accountability, and we should stop trying to muzzle public opinion about how we feel disgruntled about Bafana Bafana because we don't know the internal balances or the internal balance of forces in the association that drive certain agendas or that create certain narratives. As a country, we deserve transparency. As a country, we deserve the truth. As a country, we deserve to be given a certain type of product in order for us to be able to buy back into the Bafana Bafana sort of atmosphere, which we currently don't have. I spoke to a couple of coaches during the week who are obviously in development structures, and they were saying to me, there's nothing that they're going to go there and watch. If you look at the pick, there's nothing that you want to go and see. We know Dow, we know what Dow is going to give you, we know what Frostler is going to give you. But besides that, there's no other star quality that we want to go there and see. Who's going to put the foot on the ball? Who's going to make us play? Who's going to make us tick? Uzwane was pulled off too early. Too many subs all at once, destabilized the balance of the team. And are we supposed to keep quiet about that? Are we not supposed to share our opinion on how we feel the team is badly put together, on how we feel the team is badly assembled or coached at specific moments? If anything, we as the public deserve to be angry at the coach, not the other way around. I mean, when I'm sure he's had time to reflect and look at the performance. Surely he should stomach some of the blame for what happened there. And again, I go back to what I started with. We need to have the conversation, a referendum on what is happening with our national association. Even the under-23s, I throw them under the same bus. We are not performing according to expectation. And our clubs are showing us quality on continental tournaments, especially Sundowns, and even Maruma Gullens with some surprise performances. But we can't seem to translate that to the very same continent. And we have all of those players at our disposal, but we can't seem to pick the right ensemble. And I'm disappointed. I really am.
And I mean, if, like you're saying, if we have teams that can compete on the African continent, I mean, a lot of teams, unless you're playing the really, really top sides, a lot of teams don't have players that are playing abroad. You're looking at Liberia. I mean, you don't have it's not like a team like a Morocco where you've got a lot of players that are playing abroad. It's not like a Ghanaian side or a Senegalese side where you got some of the best players in Europe that play amongst them. So it's disappointing that we can compete at club level on the African continent. Pirates in the past decade have reached a CAF Champions League final. They've reached a CAF Confederation Cup final twice. I think SuperSport have reached the CAF Cup final. Sundowns, we've seen what they've done. They've won the CAF Champions League, but we're so poor, on the continent. From a national point of view, you end up, it's almost like squeaky bum time when you play against Liberia, and you're like, so we'll try and squeak through. A few years back we couldn't qualify. We stumbled against Ethiopia. I remember when Steve was caretaker at some stage, Botswana giving us a hard time. And I'm like, and some people will say we are on our high horse. I know, Naves and Dikgang Mabalani were having an exchange on social media with regards to the fact that, unfortunately, we expect too much, and I look at it sometimes, I'm like, no, I don't think we do. I think qualifying, we don't, more often than not, there's one good team apart from a South Africa in a group. Right now, Zimbabwe is being disqualified, but still is Yaped. We've gone to Morocco, we've got a result there. Why can't we just need to take care of our own business to control our own destiny? And I think that's where the frustration comes in for fans. It's like, are they playing for the badge or what's going on?
Yeah. I think we have a choice. We have a choice to make as a public, as a football loving public. I feel we now let me give you this scenario. Let me make this analogy. If you are diagnosed with a particular illness, right? Let's say at inception there is no cure for the illness, or it's rare, it's a new disease, it's a COVID. No one knows what this thing is, but we all know that we're dying from it, or we're being ill from this thing, right? Initially, it's all hands on deck. We're all trying to hide away and find solutions, right? Now, after a couple of years, when various suggested solutions have come up, some have been used, some have been tried, we can't be applying the same principles to the original or to the genesis of the problem. Why am I saying this? We've had the same sort of inconsistencies in terms of performance with Bafana Bafana for close on 10 years now. So this is not a new problem. But I feel we have not solved what the cause of the illness. Every time we're dealing with symptoms all the time. Like, for example, now we talk about team selection. When team selection is right, we talk about international exposure. When our players are playing internationally, we talk about cohesion. When cohesion is right, we talk about dynamics or coaching. When the coaching is right, we talk about tactical acumen. When that's right, we talk about, do they want to do that? Do they want to play? When that's right, we talk about player bonuses or player payments. When that's done right, we talk about, are the players serious? Do they want to honor call-ups? There's so many things, but I feel all of those things are symptoms to the real problem, where we need to have a referendum and have a clear strat plan as a country to say, right, we are where we are, fine. We cannot change what happened in the past 10 years, but from this day forth, this is the solution for the country. If that solution lies in schools and developing new talent from scratch, that we are planting seeds in different areas so that they can blossom to become beautiful flowers and trees one day, then that we know. Then we don't mind when we draw 2-2 against Liberia. We don't mind when we get hammered by France. We don't mind when we lose against Morocco, because we all know with the team, in the next 5 or 6 years, this is what we're producing. The same thing Morocco did, we should be doing, because Morocco is now reaping the rewards of planting the seed to say, right, we're closing shop, we're going back to the factory, we're hibernating, we're fixing the house. That's what we're doing. Because, I mean, to go back to the symptoms, how do you justify Mazibuko not picking Umtao as right back? How? What tactical tool of analysis, what coaching experience and acumen are you using to justify not picking the best right back in Africa right now? Then you pick Umodiba. I'm sorry. How do you not pick Umtao? He's the best right back in the country. The guy you picked over him is not starting in the same club. He's not starting. But you still feel, no, he's not right for my team. What's right if we're losing? What's right if we're drawing against Liberia? Symptomatically, when you go to the doctor and but now you have a cold sore, now you have this. Hey, we start treating the cold sore and we stop treating the fact that you live in a germ-filled house that's causing you to be sick, or you have a compromised immune system. South African football has a compromised immune system, Mazibo, that we need to fix. We need to take some immune boost of some sort. Otherwise, we will keep on talking like this on platforms like this to no end. And I feel maybe the right people need to be called onto these platforms and tell us, Skipan, how can we not solve this problem? And it's not too much to expect for us to qualify if that's what public opinion is. It's not. We should demand that we do that. We can't keep telling the country or keep telling Africa that we're the best league in the world, but we can't qualify. What's that? Someone needs to answer these questions, Mazibu.
Yeah, and I mean, I've got this tweet here from Dihang Mabalad. I mean, just to sum it up, just the last part of it. And again, he's just touching on the fact that, we perhaps have an expectation that's too high. He says here, we should have an honest conversation about the standard of our football versus our expectations. We wouldn't put so much pressure on these players. So, I asked Naves a little bit earlier on with regards to, Is it players? Is it administrators? Which camp is he in? You know, and in closing, I'd love to find out from you, which camp are you in?
Please clarify by camp. What do you mean by which camp am I in?
I mean,
please clarify that.
I mean, you obviously spoken at length about fixing the
Sure.
going to the core of the problem. You know, so from my take, from what you've just said, you obviously saying that, you know, we need leaders that can provide it, that can lead the way. So you would probably be in the administrators camp to say,
100%.
overall, we've got to do a little bit better, you know, just to do organizing our football. But I also, from our conversation, the players are not exempt as well from scrutiny with regards to the results.
No, for sure. Players aren't exempt, but I can tell you one thing. And again, let me take ownership of my camp, administration camp, definitely. But before I expand on that in closing, everyone has to take a portion of the blame. But I can tell you one thing about team sports, and something you know very well, Maziko, is that if a team is not playing for something, we can assemble the best players in the world and they still won't win. They'll lose to the worst team in the world. If the players aren't playing for a cause, if the players aren't playing for an institution, if the players aren't playing for the coach, you're going to have big problems there. I can be a highly skilled, highly talented, highly driven, highly motivated player. But if I come to a camp that is a negative camp, that is not filled with the right expectation, that is not balanced right, I'm definitely not going to perform to my own individual standard. I can do as much as I want as an individual, but the team is always bigger than an individual. So going back to the administration camp, administration needs to take ownership of the strategic outlook of the national team and drive the strategic agenda. And they are the ones who need to know how to diagnose what the real problem is in South African football. And I think everyone knows. They know, we all know. If there are other political agendas that are being stomached or swept under the carpet, then maybe it's time. I mean, how rock bottom do we want to be until we start talking truth to power? I think this is now our lowest. We need to start saying, administrators, come on, let's take ownership. Let's try and fix our football. Let's put the right people in the right places. Let's fill the vacancies at SAFA. Let's hire the right people. Let's get sponsorship on board. Let's get the clubs on board. Let's get coaches on board. Let's get other club administrators on board. Let's fix our country's state of football. And let's get things done the right way. Let's get people in the right places. And I feel if we can do that, we can start trotting along towards the right solution for our football.
Yeah, some great points there, Menzi. And I think we can shut it down there and hope, you know, that we can get the results away from home. But yeah, as it stands, I mean, yeah, it's really disappointing, you know, to see how we've gone about it. And I mean, you've touched on under 23s, you know, David Notwani, is he the guy for that job? You know, can he lead the team well, get us to the Olympics? We can have long debates with regards to that. So
yeah, remember, he's not even a permanent coach there because he also works at Sundowns. Currently, the structure at SAFA doesn't allow for the U teams, as they call them, the under teams, to have permanent staff as coaches. So even that's an issue. So but I mean, there's lots of problems. So that's why I'm saying it's an admin issue. You know,
yeah.
Is it a finance issue? Is it a budgeting issue? Is it a resource issue? It's an issue. David Notwani spends his time at Sundowns. He doesn't spend his time looking for under 23 players. That's where his bread is buttered. You know, under 17, under 20, same story. These guys are employed elsewhere. When the camp is over, they go back to their clubs like players. Then it shouldn't be that way. You know, until that gets solved, we're in trouble.
Yo, by the way, Dave said I must tell you that Aksabi and that I use FC Freedom Park FC. So I asked him who he played team in Freedom Park FC. I found so but in the Freedom Park FC I use. Yeah, so and call and kumbuzolo.
No, angizwile utshela ukuthi indoda mayilele ayikhahlelwa. Ngelinye ilanga sovuka ngehlezi kunje.
No, but thank you for your time. I appreciate it. And yeah, let's see what we can do going forward for South African football. we'll continue to talk about these points and these factors, and hopefully, we can get back on the bus. As Naves said, he's tired of hearing about 1996. He wants us to sort things out right now, and hopefully we can do that because there is potential there. But yeah, we need to get things right holistically before we are able to get Bafana Bafana back on the winning path.
Completely agree.
All right, brother. Enjoy your weekend. Out.
Cheers, brother.
Sharp.
Shap.
Yeah, that's Menzi Ngcobo. Yeah, crazy, man. It's crazy just how things have gone. And yeah, we're hoping for a bit of luck going forward. But in terms of Bafana Bafana, we got to wrap it up. We got to say goodbye. And yeah, you can feel my energy. It's low, disappointed as a South African, but hopefully we'll get things right and the team can progress going forward. From me, FisMaz, the FisMaz show, we out. Bye-bye.